everyone, Steve here from Tech Toy Tinker and Retro Arena. I wanted to take a few minutes today to introduce you to the Stable 1 build for the Nvidia Jetson Nano. There's a few different things I want to talk about throughout the course of this video. The first one is that I've added several emulators and cores, as you will see as I navigate here. So this is Arduboy from the Arduino. It's a little monochrome, you'll see it in a second here. I think you get the idea there. Also, this build is Ubuntu 20. There is another build that we are working on that Carlos has done the lion's share of figuring out the details for on Ubuntu 22, but that's not ready yet. At some point we will be releasing an Ubuntu 22 build for this as well. Another new addition here is the same CDI core, which means you can now just boot the CHD files without all the workarounds. Also ignore the missing assets stuff. It's literally just a zip I need to unzip and drag and drop somewhere. I just didn't do it yet.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi? I hope she made lots of spaghetti. Luigi, look! It's from Bowser. Dear pesky plumbers, the Koopalings... Looks kind...
I think you get the point. I've also gone through and updated a large majority of the cores to the latest current version. Stuff like Gamate here does work, but you need very specific BIOS, and it has a very specific way of setting it up when using MES or advanced MAME. Same is true of Gamecom. These I'm unfortunately going to have to remove for now. It's not because they don't work so much as there's not an easy way to script them to work, so the user has to understand how MAME works in order to get them to run, and it's complicated, and I don't really expect people to be able to do that. I might just remove them from the ES system, or from the folders, so for that people who want to add them and know what they're doing can just add the folder to ROMs and then set it up.
Mario.
I think you get the general idea there. We have decent GameCube performance here. Now, I'm not going to actually go and do it because I don't have everything set up, but in a previous video I did probably a year ago, there's actually semi-decent Wii performance for a select title of games as well, and they work with the Wii controller if you have the sensor bar set up. I also updated this to the latest version. You can rebuild MAME yourself anytime you want. It just takes a few hours. And the version that it's set up to use out of the box is the version that's going to work with the Tiger and Konami LCD, so long as you understand how to set them up. For this, I've added its own core same duck, so you no longer have to go through the process of using advanced MAME here. For those of you that are unaware, the Mega Duck is basically a Game Boy knockoff, but the games aren't exactly the same games. Some of them are similar or themed the same, but they're different skins and a different look to the game, so it's kind of like a different version, I guess you would call it. This intro always gives me trouble on a lot of different devices, so I use this and GoldenEye usually as my testers.
Here we go.
Seems to work okay to me. I don't remember which one the launcher is, in all honesty. I guess that one. It's reaching a point that I'm very happy with the performance of this board and what we're getting out of it, especially when you consider the fact that it's a sub $100 board. Oh, for Nintendo DS here, I added Melon DS Core as well. It seems to work quite well. I'll check it out real quick here.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Except, of course, that I didn't configure the touch the screen button, so I need a game that's not going to make me tap the screen.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So before you use NDS, remember to set up your core configuration. I'll make sure that I hotkey it so you can actually get into the RetroArch menu. We have Drastic here as well. Palm is, it's exactly, I don't know if I have the BIOS for it, but it's exactly what you think it is. It's the Palm OS emulator. Oh, apparently I do. I don't really want to play it, but you get the idea. I've also added Pico 8 here via the Retro 8 core. It uses P8 files better than most other files. Wow, I think I managed to actually make the device freeze. That's a first. Oh, maybe not, just the emulator froze. As you can see here, Retro 8 is actually still an alpha build, so there is definitely going to be some bugs, like you just saw. Also, this loading process is going to take a minute because I'm using a 4 terabyte external drive. So enjoy the show. There's been several other changes to the build. I'll kind of show them as I get to that process, or get to that point in Emulation Station. I also added, but have largely not tested, Aether SX2 ARM64 app image. I don't suspect that tons of games are going to work, but I do think that there's a possibility that as Aether matures, we should be able to reach a point where we get at least some of the PS2 games working. I'd really rather not have to reboot the device, so I'm hoping that this stops itself here. But it doesn't seem like it's going to. Guess I'm gonna have to restart. It seems like when the Retro 8 core decided to bug out, it messed something up. I've also moved the BIOS folder into the ROMs folder just to keep everything in one place, and then created a link outside to where BIOS used to be. Hey, and now it's loading. I can see the drive reading. So all in all, I think I've added about 7 or 8 different systems, and I've completely updated the underlying operating system. All the libraries and dependencies are completely up to date. Also, as I said earlier, I went through and updated most of the cores and standalones that are in use individually. I don't recommend using a 4 terabyte drive for your games like I do. It does take a long time to read through the drive and load everything. You're probably better off with like a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte or something if you're going to use an external drive. Put a 21 in the comment if you're still here after all that. We got Tick 80 here now as well, which is, I mean, it's a fantasy computer emulator. Also, Solaris is here. This brings up an interesting point, actually. This BIOS requirement is actually more BIOSes than you realistically need for Yabasan Shiro, but it covers your bases for the other emulators as well, so it basically makes you have all of the different Saturn BIOS. Just be aware of that. Alright, let's do it. I feel like on 1x frame skip, God of War would probably run full speed or very close to it here. Alright, so right now it's on Vulkan with 1 frame skip. I know a lot of people don't like frame skip, but for me it doesn't, I mean 1 isn't a big deal. 2 or 3 gets irritating for sure, but just 1 itself isn't too bad, I don't think, personally.
Suffering for years, Kratos, the once great general, now known as the Ghost of Sparta, had pledged himself as a champion to the gods of Olympus. In return, he hoped only to rid himself of the nightmares that haunted him for far too long.
It's reading that damn hard drive.
But for
See the
now,
light flashing.
his only respite, his only relief from the sins of his past, was found in the heat of battle. And on this day, Kratos had been called upon by the gods to confront an unthinkable evil, unleashed on the city of Attica by the invading.
Using this 4 terabyte hard drive is starting to really annoy me. It takes forever to read it all. There's not really much I can do about it. I can't really just pull out a different... Actually... Maybe I can. So I was about to say I can't get rid of the hard drive mid-video, but why can't I? Hopefully 1 terabyte works better than 4 terabytes does. Of course I don't have God of War here, but... I'll just show you what happens when you launch one of the LCD games right now. That. Nothing. Because it needs certain features enabled in the core. You have to launch the core by itself without any of the stuff, and you have to enable certain things. and like software lists and stuff like that. This is really going to be for the Tiger, Konami, and generic LCD is really for the more advanced user only. This here is your remote desktop client. I think its use case is probably obvious to most people. Now here's the very early alpha build of Aether SX2 for ARM64. I'm not going to try to do too much with it because I don't expect it. I haven't set it up at all, so I don't know anything about it yet other than it boosts games. For sure it's going to need to be tweaked in order to run games at any playable speed. And if you're watching here, if you use Vulkan with this, it doesn't actually boot the game. You need to use this. I haven't tried OpenGL yet, but I don't expect it to perform better than Vulkan anyway. It is worth a shot, obviously. I just don't expect better results from OpenGL than Vulkan. With that, I'm just going to wrap the video up here. There's also XEMU for those of you that don't remember. This is making progress as well. There's a few games that are very playable. But as I said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thanks for watching. This is an overview of what's going to be Stable 1. There's still a few days worth of stuff left to do, maybe 2 or 3 days of testing and fixing stuff. But after that, it should be available to the public. Take care.